Good evening, brothers and sisters. How's everybody doing tonight? Beautiful, very good. I'm here to talk about Thrive Mind. So one of the big things, I've taught for the last 20 years, multiple environments, and one of the things I've looked at, in an age of abundance, where we have tremendous information, where we can access learning anytime, any place, from anywhere, from anyone, why are we still talking about deficits? Why are we still talking about gaps? Why are we still talking about a school-to-prison pipeline when we have inequity? Why are we talking about those things? It's because, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't really framed the problem. And so I looked at this with my team and took on 3 mountains, or 3 hills, and that's looking at teachers, students, and communities. And we asked students, how do they feel? How do they want to be perceived? How do they want to be understood? We asked this question of teachers. They want to know more about their students. They want to know about their lives. Kids want for teachers to know about what they're experiencing, or that they may be shy, or their grades don't tell this dynamic, complex story of them as beautiful people. Communities have a gap in that they don't know what we're doing in our classroom. We're working on global conflicts. How many people in the city of Pittsburgh could be helping us in our classroom to solve those problems? So, ladies and gentlemen, what we have is unawareness. Unawareness. And how can we tackle our most complex problems when we don't really have a full, complete picture of what's going on? So, and how can we embrace the whole child? All of the child that comes to our space, that we are just not teaching the child, but in fact, the child is teaching us. We are co-creating in our learning spaces. So we came up with our idea, our most viable product, to get away from this mindset that we got to get steps for people to get there, but in fact, let's look at the brilliance of networks and of connections. We are in a connected environment. We know so much more about each other in society, more than at any time in human history, because we see photos, pictures, thoughts, blogs, all kinds of things. But how can we tap into that? And that's where we came with Thrive Mind. Thrive Mind essentially allows us to tag learning so that we can tag things that kids write, blog, video. We can see that over time. We can connect them to events. We can connect them to their peers. Connections, ladies and gentlemen, to build an empathic system where we see each other. And that is in our intent when we do Thrive Mind. And so that what we can do is that as you learn more about each other, we can see those connections, we can strengthen those connections, and you can actually visually see them. We can reveal the world to all of our people in our community. That in fact, you can also see these learning experiences over time be connected, so that learning is something in 8th grade, you remember a reflection that you wrote in 6th grade, and hey, what other things did people think about? The other thing about this is it also connects us to different events. How many of our children don't have access to opportunities because they just don't know what's happening? Or how many of our families don't have? So the ability for information to be tagged and then searched and then connected to the larger Pittsburgh community. We're making the world smaller, more relevant, and more empathetic for teachers, students, and community. And so that was just the student lens. We also have an attempt to do this for teachers and to do this for communities around. Here's our plan. As a teacher, we're going to start it off in our classroom. We have 78 6th graders. We follow them for 3 years. We'll be able to start this. Our goal was then to take it to our whole school and then to the city of Pittsburgh. We're trying to be an open source, nimble nonprofit. That's why we're the Guerrilla Learning Academy. Guerrilla for my Spanish brothers and sisters, small warfare. We're looking to see grant funding from the Ballet Fund, Sprout Fund, Pittsburgh Foundation, and MacArthur Foundation for Digital Media and Learning. Ladies and gentlemen, only 20%, less than 20% of learning happens in formal space over the course of our life. And so to think about this is to think about Pittsburgh thriving for all of our kids. And let's do that with Thrive Mind. I just want to share some gratitude for everybody who shows up. This is a beauty that we can harness if you think about people just showing up to make your dream come true. So I'm grateful to my team that showed up to do that today. I mean the whole weekend, so thank you.
Hi guys. So let's talk about validation of this idea. What's some of the feedback that you heard from teachers, you heard potentially from students, parents?
So when we came up with this idea, we did want to reach out to each member, or each type of stakeholder in our learning ecosystem, the teachers, the students, and the community members. We heard back from a sample of each of them, and we asked them what they wanted to, or what they felt was lacking for the teachers in their supporting them to reach out to their students. They don't know what their life is like at home. They want to be able to make that connection. The community, we asked, how do you see young people fitting into your community? And the community answered, we think they should be a valuable part of our community. They are the future of our neighborhoods. They have a vested interest in this, and so how can we help them feel invested in that? And the students, a lot of them were really open with us in our survey, and they were saying, I want people to know that I have really bad anxiety, and sometimes I get the ideas, but the grades don't match. And so how can we help the student wholly with tagging their learning, letting them see it, and moving on from there?
So I had a question about the use of data and sharing and the open sourceness of everything. How do you kind of balance that openness and that need for networks with privacy and the things that these different groups need to kind of keep to themselves?
So the main structure of the application is a search engine. Data can flow in from the outside, but the search corpus is wholly owned by whatever institution owns this instance of the application. The source code is open, but having the source code doesn't give you access to the data. Each institution would set up its own private keys and use reasonable security.
Can you talk about the long-term support of a project like this? I mean, initially you're talking about foundations, non-public funding sources. How about long-term? How do you see this being supported over the long term?
That's a challenge. I think that has to go into, that's something that would have to evolve out of the project long-term.
And that's something that the whole concept of the Guerrilla Learning Academy is trying to do. It's not trying to sell a product, it's trying to reshape how we think about connections in the community.
We want to emerge as a community asset, right? Okay. And of course, if we're really connecting and understanding each other, maybe we're not throwing as many people in jail and prison, and that we can free up some money.
Right. There are many examples of open source projects accomplishing wide support. It's what runs much of the internet.
Thank you.
Thank you.